Hey everybody, Truth Dog here, internet's favorite dog, back at it with another crazy video. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different, but also very much the same. Talking about childhood trauma, very fun topic. I'm sure there'll be lots of laughs and high fives during this one. Maybe even a little bit of crying. I'm in the white room, the room where I like to cry, for those who have seen the now missing video. I don't know what happened to that one. But anyway, so what I wanted to do just to make this video extra fun was draw all these examples out of a hat, because what I've done here, I've made my notes as always. If you're a fast reader, you know how the pause button works. You can skip maybe 30 minutes. You're going to save yourself 30 minutes and just read those. What I wanted to do, I wrote them all down in chronological order. I spent about an hour writing down all this trauma stuff. It was very therapeutic, I should say. I feel like I've really grown as a person. And hopefully by the end of this one, hopefully you will grow too. It sounded inappropriate. Yeah, so I wrote them all down in chronological order to the best of my ability, but then I thought, you know, maybe that'll be a little bit, I don't know, self-indulgent, or it's just going to be a bit of a drag to read through, you know, my progressively more depressing life. I thought, well, how can I make that, you know, more fun? So I had the idea, I can just cut the page, you know, cut them. I could learn to speak for a start. Cut them all up, put them into a hat, and then draw them out at random. So that's like a Quentin Tarantino kind of style of video. But then I realized I couldn't really do that, because I've also written some on the back, and you know it wouldn't work. So using my very big brain. You know what they say about guys with big brains, big fucking heads like me. I numbered them from 1 to 13. Lucky number 13. And so, we got numbers in the hat here. We got a Super Mario 1985 hat. I don't know who was born in 1985, but God, they must be old. So anyway, we got the old numbers hat. So, this will work as my key. And so what I'll do is, I'll draw the numbers out at random. And then I'll read that one, and you'll slowly learn about my life out of order. Oh, the other reason, what I should also say, is the reason I'm doing this video is because I know that it helps people to sort of relate to these kind of things, like hearing someone talk about the hardships in their life or just sort of stuff. Helps people feel less alone. So that's the reason that I'm doing it. And because of, like I said, it's going to be a whole lot of fun. The other thing that I forgot to mention is something that I've said before, but it bears repeating, especially in the context of this video, that trauma and all the things that go along with that, you know, particularly child abuse, all that stuff is something that real people deal with. All real people, I believe, go through things that fuck them up, go through hardships, and, you know, like I said, abuse, be it sexual, verbal, physical, all three perhaps. And I'm not doing this video to as a oh, woe is me sob story kind of shit. I'm not doing this for anyone's sympathy. Like I said, I'm just doing this so that it can be cathartic for people. If you would like to share your own experiences, that would be great. I think that would help other people as well. Just remember that I'm not a trained psychologist or a psychologist in any way. I'm also not very good at knowing what to say when people share very deep things, although people do have a tendency to, I'm not going to say overshare, but they do like to tell me personal things a lot, which I take as a compliment. So if you do feel like sharing your things, I think, like I said, I think people appreciate that. It might even help you, you know, to get it out there, because talking always helps. But just know that me personally, I'm not super good at that. The best I might be able to do is just put a love heart on there. But just know that when I put those love hearts on there, I mean it. And when I don't put one on, it either means that I didn't see your comment, or I fucking hate you and I want you to fucking die. So without further ado, without further filibustering, let's get right into it. Reach into the old lucky hat and draw out our first childhood trauma. Should have got a drum roll ready. At one point in time, I will have production values. Okay, and the first childhood trauma is number, ladies and gentlemen, it is, look at it, like this huge pieces of paper I wrote and just a tiny little number. Where the fuck's the number? No, well, let's assume that's number 9 and not number 6. Number 9, so it was Number 9 trauma. Hopefully this is a good one to start, because this video I can feel is just tanking already. Oh, okay, so my mom and dad separated when I was young. And I think I highlighted that earlier in the trauma, so we'll get to that Tarantino style. It's going to be great. It's going to be very, very engaging, and it's going to make a lot of sense. Be really, really easy for me to explain this shit out of order. I really, really thought this through. I'm glad I did this. So what's this? Oh yeah, this one sucks. Don't stop watching, because the rest of them are amazing. Basically, this is just dealing with living with my mum for a year or so when my parents separated. They since got back together and then stayed together for about 25, maybe even 30 more years, and then very recently got divorced. So, in my opinion, that's a happy ending. They should have gotten fucking divorced all the way back then. I don't have any of this stuff written down, but I just realized there were several points in my childhood where my mum would take me, my brother and sister out to McDonald's to tell us that she was leaving my dad. And like, it happened so many times, by like the third or fourth time, basically if we were going to McDonald's in the morning, I just assumed the worst, you know what I mean? Thank God for Happy Meals. But by like the third or fourth time, and she told us, I was just like, all right, yeah, whatever. You know, I didn't even give a shit. But back to whatever this crap says. Yeah, just like all those TV shows growing up as a kid, like Unsolved Mysteries and X-Files, all that stuff, you know, it's made to scare the shit out of people, put them at a low vibration. And I just remembered, maybe it was because my dad wasn't there, that trying to go to sleep in this house, I would always have this like vision of like the Grim Reaper or a grey alien like walking into my room. So like, very hard to sleep, which isn't good for your health, for those who don't know. But like, that one sucked. That wasn't super traumatic, and I'm sure most people out there have worse traumas. Not that it's a contest, but you're definitely the winner. So don't stop watching, because the next one is going to be really, really fucked up and really, really entertaining. So trauma number 2 is number 3. Trauma number 3, apparently. Okay, so trauma 3 is as follows. Oh, wow, this one is messed up. Okay, so when I was about 5 or so, a neighbor or someone gave my parents a bunch of kittens, right? So we had these kittens. There were 2 black ones who were twin brothers. I guess they're all twins technically. They're all born at the same time. All kittens that are born together are twins. That's weird. But anyway, so the 2 black ones, my dad called them Hi-Ho and Silver, and then there was a white one called Casper. And the white one, that ended up sort of being like foreshadowing, or like a, you know, an omen or whatever. Because what happened was, because my parents were not only negligent of us as children, but they're also very, you know, shitty at keeping pets. For some reason, which would never fly in my household, they let the kittens sleep outside. I'm talking, you know, like 2-month-old kittens. They let them sleep outside. So something bad happened. And this one is very fucked up. So trigger warning for this one. Some neighborhood teenagers apparently stole the kittens from our property, or just found them sort of walking the street or whatever, and they had a bonfire, and they threw the kittens into the bonfire. One of them ended up dying. The one that died was called Casper, the white one. See what I mean? How crazy that is? It almost sounds made up. The other 2 survived, but were very badly burned, especially Hi-Ho. But I mean, there is kind of like a happy ending or silver lining to this story, which is very strange. And I've talked about it before, that when I have enemies, or when people cross me, they end up getting, you know, punished and sometimes killed. And that's what happened to these teenagers. They ended up dying because what was happening was, we lived like sort of by like an embankment, like we lived by a lake, and I guess there was like a tide or something like that. What apparently ended up happening to these teenagers was one night, like weeks or months later, they were back there. They were camping in the tent, and apparently there was high tide, and they ended up drowning and suffocating in their tent. So like, there you go. That's, maybe it's not instant karma, but definitely karma. Fuck those pieces of shit, and I'm glad they're dead. And you can't prove I was involved. Alright, so that was a fun one. I'm just going to have a drink of water. Let's have the forethought to bring this, because when I make these really long videos, aka all of my videos, I get dry mouth. Okay, so 2 down. 11 to go. Okay, so trauma number 3 is number... I should have that hat on the frame, make it more fun. Trauma number 3 is number 7. Okay, let's see how much this shit makes sense. Parents fight, separating. Oh, yeah. Okay, so like when I was 5 or so, like when my parents separated, as I already like discussed, I remember they had like a huge drop down, drag out, fucking throwing plates, screaming, crying, fucking fight. I don't know what it was about. I probably none of your fucking business either. But anyway, so I just remember that, and I remember my heart breaking as a child. I was trying to like stop them, like, you know, why are you fighting? Stop. And it's the same things like, I fucking hate you, we're through, and all that sort of stuff. And that I think that broke my heart, honestly, as like a 5-year-old or however old I was, 6, 7 at the oldest, but it was somewhere around there. It's all a blur of trauma, I suppose. Very minor trauma. I understand that other people go through worse shit than this. I'm not, you know, like I said, it's not a contest, you win. Oh, okay, I've also... Yeah, I just also remember, like, my mum crying in her bedroom, just tearing up, like, literally just tearing my father out of all of the photos that she had of him. And I just think, you know, like I said, that affected me quite badly. But around that time, too, I think it was 2nd grade, so it would have been around 6, I had a very shitty teacher who hated me. You know, like, they say gang stalking starts at birth. That's very true. I had this teacher, and, you know, like, just doubling down on my misery at the time, she would, you know, single me out and, you know, try to make it out that I was a bad child, and call my mum in to tell her that I was struggling. And it was like, yeah, well, my parents are separated, and you're a fucking bitch. But the one memory I have of this bitch is that she when we were all sitting down, and she played us the song, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world, that song. And she told us all, she said, class, do you know what suicide is? All the kids, no. Well, I'll tell you what suicide is. Suicide is when you kill yourself. Like, this fucking psycho told all these children, including yours truly, tripped up, what fucking suicide was? Six-year-olds? Fucking. And yeah, so she explained to us that the guy who wrote the song, It's What a Wonderful World, ended up killing himself. I was just shocked that the guy who sang it wasn't the guy who wrote it. But no, seriously, the suicide shit, that messed me up. But it was the first time I learnt the definition of the word suicide, because up until that point, I always thought that it had something to do with the Ninja Turtles. I'm not even kidding. I thought it was like, oh yeah, they're on the suicide, right? They're down there with Splinter and the gang. But I'm serious. So, like, you say you don't learn anything at school. All right, so trauma number 4, I think we have now. Trauma number 4 is number 1. Prove it so that I'm not faking these. Number 1. Number 1. Oh yeah, so this was when I was born. Like I said, gang stalking starts at birth. Because I had such a big fucking head, my mum had to have a cesarean. I think that's the reason. I don't know. Had to have a cesarean. Apparently the umbilical cord was like tied around my throat and like nearly suffocated. Nearly died. We both nearly died. My mum nearly died and I nearly died. And who knows, like if you've seen Jacob's Ladder or any of those movies, maybe I am dead. Maybe I died, you know, then, and this is purgatory. I wouldn't be surprised. But anyway, so like I nearly died, and I was too sick to come home, and my mum was too sick to take care of me. So like for the first at least 3 months of my life, I was raised by my neighbors who were friends of my parents, but still I created a bond with my neighbors. Like I was breastfeeding from my mum's friend, so I created a bond with them, and like to this day I don't really have a bond with my parents. It doesn't help that they're kind of shitty parents. Like they're fine, you know what I mean? They're definitely not like bottom tier parents at all. They did they did okay. I was going to say they did their best. I don't know about that, but they did okay. But yeah, that's just I'm pretty sure that that's not good. You know what I mean? For a child to grow up not around their mother. The other shit I was going to talk about is like just like when a child's born. Most people probably know this, but maybe this video should have some information in it. In case you didn't know, when you're born and you know they sign the birth certificate and you stamp the baby's foot, you're basically declaring the baby as government property. And yeah, also But I got stuff here about cloning, but maybe that's neither here nor there. But if you've seen The Island, the movie The Island by Michael Bay, hold on, pardon me. It's a movie where there's clones underground, and then there's like the real versions up and walking on the surface. And I think the idea is that they take your DNA at birth and they create a clone for you underground or something like that. Anyway, let's not waste time on conspiracies. That's not what this channel's about. It's about childhood trauma. And let's get to, I think it's number 5. Number 5. Number 5. A really good shoe. Really big shoe. Okay. Okay, trauma number 5 is number 5. I think that's a number 5. Number 5, ladies and gentlemen. Trauma number 5. Better be a fucking good one, Truth Dog. Oh yeah, learning to ride a bike. I fell off, got my toes caught in the spokes, or the chain, I mean. Yeah, I blame my parents for being shitty, impatient assholes. Basically, like, you know what I mean, forcing me. But like they say, you never forget the moment where you learned to ride a bike and got your toes stuck in the fucking chain or whatever. So I went in and I quit. You know what I mean? Early on, it's very important to teach your children to quit. Traumatize them as early as possible. Get them on a bike. Get them to fall over, injure themselves. But since then, I have learned to ride a bike and even drive a car, if you believe it. So anyway, that was a great one. Let's get on to trauma number 6. Trauma number 6, ladies and gentlemen. What will it be? Okay. Oh, number 13, the very last one I wrote down. That's page 2. I was really running out of steam by this point, so let's see what I wrote about number 13, which is the letter M in numerology. Gematria, or whatever the fuck they call that shit. Oh yeah. Psychopathic Friend. Basically, like all narcissists, psychopaths, whatever. He studied me, mimicked me. He became my best friend. I was very popular in primary school, which is elementary school, I think I would say, in America. Shout out to all my American viewers. Yeah, so I was very popular. I had quite a lot of friends. And then I ended up, this guy, like, you know, because they'll study you, they'll mimic you, and they'll be exactly who you want them to be. And he ended up becoming my best friend over all the other good friends that I had. And long story short, he ended up stealing my personality, turning my friends against me, and even at one point, there's a lot of cat death in this video I'm finding. At one point, I gave him one of the kittens because, like I said, my parents are negligent assholes. They never got the cats desexed. We had our cat gave birth to kittens, and I gave one to my best friend. And you know, a few months later, I found out that the kitten that I gave to him, which I named and loved, called Earwig. There was Earwig and Chinwig. Chinwig found another home. He took Earwig. Apparently, Earwig got run over by a car out the front of his home. And, you know, because I'm very intuitive and maybe paranoid schizophrenic, I put it together in retrospect that this fuckhead killed that kitten. You know what I mean? And told me just to traumatize the fucking shit out of me. You know, loosh, all that sort of stuff, all that thing. So, I mean, there's more to that story. And I even forgot to write down the one where I pissed myself at a birthday party. So anyway, there's a free one, pissed myself at a birthday party. Trauma number 7, I think we're up to now. You having fun? I know I am. Trauma number 6. Let's see what that one was. I don't know what that was. Oh yeah. So growing up, like horror movies, you know, all those sort of things, especially for children, I find can be very, very traumatic. This is just about like horrible movies that I remember seeing. Like I've talked about in my one of my other videos with James A. Janice from the Kill Count thing. The horror movie section, like I remember because I've got a super vivid imagination. Just like walking past and looking at those things, I could literally be traumatized for days just thinking about the context and the situation. Like you know what I mean? Like you see the cover as a body of like a woman's legs hanging out a dumpster. All I needed to see was that shit, and like my mind would go wild with like worst case scenarios for days. But anyway, like actually I guess you could say like confronting my fears or whatever. The first like horrible movie I remember seeing was Jaws 4 at a friend's house, because like I guess everyone's parents some kind of like negligent asshole who doesn't seem to understand the concept that children shouldn't be watching like graphic violence, which again is why movies these days are like ultra fucking violent. Everything's violent. They want to traumatize almost desensitize children, just basically numb them emotionally and just, put them in that fear state. And it's like MK Ultra. I'm pretty good at rattling off buzzwords, am I? Aren't I? Don't you dare ask me what any of this shit I'm saying means. Anyway, so I remember seeing Jaws 4 at a friend's house. And this, for those who've seen Jaws 4, it's a classic. If you haven't seen, go out there. Stop everything you're doing. Stop watching this fucking shit video. Just go out there and watch Jaws 4. It's a classic, I'm telling you. At the very start, one of the characters, he gets his arm bitten off by Jaws' I guess, great nephew or whatever the Jaws is at that point. And I just remember thinking that's so, like, that traumatized me big time. And also I remember watching, not long after, the very first Jaws, which is a piece of shit. If you're going to watch any Jaws, watch the fourth one, I'm telling you. The first one, Spielberg. But anyway, so like, so the very first Jaws traumatized me so badly that, okay, so at the house I was living at the time, we had blue carpet in basically every room. I was so traumatized by that movie and so scared of it that I literally started to believe that the blue carpet could turn into water. You know what I mean? Like, like the floor is lava. I was like, the floor is the ocean. I was scared to even walk on the carpet because I was thinking Jaws could come up at any moment out of the blue carpet water and get me. Jesus Christ, I mean, what a messed up kid. The other thing I remember thinking, which is also fairly curious, because my parents were lax. We were allowed to like do whatever. I remember renting RoboCop 2 out at the video store, and that's another one. They put RoboCop on TV as like a kids show or like a family show, and whereas the movies are R-rated. So I'd seen the family, like the TV series, and thought, oh yeah, RoboCop, that's for kids. I got RoboCop 2 at the video store. Jesus fucking Christ. There's this scene where a guy gets his head cut and they like open and they take the brain out. It's like a brain transplant thing. I remember watching that with my brother and sister who are both younger than me, and I was literally screaming, turn it off, turn it off. Now sitting in front of me, I have this vivid memory, and I just remember them, like I had to run up to the VCR and eject it because I was like, I don't want to see this, you know what I mean? I just remember them turning around like zombies, like, huh? What's wrong? You know, they didn't say it, but like that was the thing. So it's like, they're even younger than me, so like, how is that not scaring them? So, I mean, I don't know what's going on there, but it felt like I was the only one who like really was affected by that, and maybe I'm alone in that. Maybe I'm just a pussy. If I'm a pussy, please let me know. Okay, so I don't know what trauma we're up to now, 8 or something. So next one, actually I'm getting another drink of water. Yeah, water. Oh yeah, the hat. Okay, so the next one, trauma number... Trying to do Karnak, forgot how it even went. Oh, number 10. Ah, that's a good one. Now to find out what it is. Oh, yeah. Basically, my grandmother nearly hospitalized me one time. I was playing the Super Nintendo. I accidentally detuned the TV stations. This was when my parents were separated. We were living with just my mum, and my grandma was staying over. I guess my mum was out working or something. I was playing the Super Nintendo. I put it on a different TV. I wanted to like play it on the big TV. Mum was not home, you know what I mean? And so I accidentally detuned the TV stations. My grandma, who's like a habitual always needed to watch the news, you know what I mean? Because she's smart, smart people, smart, responsible citizens like to know what's going on in the world, so they watch the news, because that's how it works. And so basically she wasn't even a violent person. She was never really violent at all. But long story short, I couldn't tune the station in time for when the news came on. She completely lost it. I remember running from her. She beat the shit out of me, threw me against the wall, and kicked me, nearly hospitalized me, because she missed the nightly news. That really happened. And she's dead now. But she wasn't really even that bad of a person, but I mean, that was fucking scary. So anyway, that happened. Okay, so no trauma number whatever we're up to now. Number 2. Okay. a little bit shell-shocked after reliving that last one. Yeah, so I moved around a lot as a kid, changed schools a lot, which I mean is like shitty. It's not really traumatic. It's pretty hard to make friends when you're like fairly what's the word, introverted like I am. So where's this going? Oh yeah, we live by a golf course. This is pretty cut and paste on it. This is just my first memory of dealing with like a psychopath. It was like this little kid, neighborhood kid, who like was just a bully, but it was like they usually make it so everyone else thinks they're great. It's just like usually it's only around empaths, and you'll find like when it's just like one-on-one, that's when they really like let the mask like drop, take the mask off and whatever. Basically, he destroyed all my toys, threw them into a barbecue pit or whatever. I couldn't retrieve them. That was just like my first experience with like someone doing something that was mean on purpose, So I was like 3 or 4 at the time. So one of my earliest, fondest childhood memories. Jesus Christ. Okay, we've got to be getting near the end. We're nearly at 30 minutes. Try not to go over that. And so the next childhood trauma was number 12, ladies and gentlemen. So number 12 is... oh, okay, yeah, this one's really messed up. Basically, I was 9 at the time. I overheard sexual abuse of someone close to me. I overheard it. I wanted to confront the person who did it, but something I couldn't gain the courage to walk into the room and stop what was happening. Okay, so the PC battery is running low. Sorry, short, yeah, so I experienced that. Woke up the next day, I thought, okay, so that was just a bad dream. In retrospect, I've actually talked to the person that it wasn't. Okay, so the computer died. For some reason, the battery died after only 30 minutes. Normally it lasts an hour. But I guess, I'm a little too close to the truth on this one. Wait, I completely forgot my hat. The hat's in the other room. One moment. I'll just finish talking about what I was saying. So yeah, I found out that what I thought was a nightmare about what happened to the person actually did happen. Anyway, at the time, I remember the next day I went to school. It was probably around 4th grade, I think, year 4. I really liked my teacher, but I remember feeling sick to my stomach. That morning I had lamb's fry and bacon for breakfast. I went to school. I felt very sick, and I just sort of knew I was going to throw up. So I actually, put my hand up. I went up to the teacher and said, "Miss, I feel like I'm going to..." And then I just like projectile vomited all over my favorite teacher, all over like her really nice dress. Ran to the bathroom, vomiting the whole way there. And yeah, so basically we got the combo, the double dose of sexual abuse, or at least sexual abuse and vomiting in front of my entire class and the teacher. But on the bright side, I got to go home that day. Anyway, like I said, I forgot the number hat, so I'm just going to pause this one, and I'll be right back instantaneously. Oh, I also thought, like, just before, even though it's not important and it's only making the video longer, I just want to say I was so friggin' worried that I lost that video from before, because like the computer just like completely shut down while I was recording, and apparently it sent itself to the recycle file, the bin, and I restored it and got it back there. I just watched it before doing this to make sure that it was watchable. I felt like it was watchable. Definitely getting boring towards the end, and it's probably only worse now, but at least we got to change the scenery. Anyway, I noticed the volume was very like it has some sort of interference, so apologies for that. And just before, the lighting in here was very terrible. That's what I mean about these fluorescent lights. So I got the hallway light on. But anyway, we've only got 3 left, so let's get it done for the longest Truth Dog video to date. Okay, so the next childhood trauma is number 8. Okay, so number 8. number 8. Oh yeah, the Babysitter Incident. I've talked about this in a previous video, I think a couple of videos back, the last one I did on camera. I don't want to really go over it again, but long story short, something happened to me with the babysitter was taking care of me. I don't think that she was human. She did something to me, and ever since then, I have been like a completely different person. Whatever it did, it fucked me up. I remember telling my mom, trying to tell my mom about it, and she said, oh, it was probably because you were naughty. That was basically it, but yeah. So there was that. Go watch the other video if you want to find out about that. But I just want to talk about trauma-based mind control, how it works. Essentially what happens, a very good example of it is in the movie The Lion King, when Simba loses his dad, Mufasa dies, and so like he's dealing with that trauma. What happens is what they can do to like really mess you up for life is when you're in that moment of trauma, they'll tell you something. They'll how did I put it here? Like an implanted memory or something like that. Like he tells Simba after he's experienced his father's death that it was all his fault and everyone hates you and blah blah blah. So that's what happens. Like what psychopaths will do is they'll do something traumatic and then they'll like double down on it and tell the child something very, very terrible to basically instill the idea, some sort of negative reinforcement kind of idea in their head, like, you know, you're a piece of shit, nobody loves you. If they tell you that when you're in that kind of traumatic state, that's when it's really effective. And especially as a child, before, you know, you're developed your frontal lobes and you haven't really, developed your own sort of identity, when these sort of things happen to you, before that happens, it kind of sets the tone for who you are as a person, and it takes a lot of, I guess, therapy or like soul searching or whatever it is, self-reflection, to get to the bottom of that. I didn't really explain it very well, but that's essentially it. So yeah, something with the babysitter. Okay, trauma number, I guess it would be 12 at this point, and second last but not least, what we got here? Number 11. Number 11 was, and I'm super conscious of the time at this point. Oh, okay. On vacation, we used to go vacation in this sort of beach house place, which is really weird because I used to live in a different state in Australia. We eventually moved up here in Queensland, and the house that we moved to, one of the houses that we moved to was literally like across the road from this beach house place. So it's very weird. Like if you think of reality in terms of like the Truman Show and like, you know, they only have a certain amount of sets, that very much rings true. You know what I mean? Like they only really have like this neighborhood to work from or whatever. So like for a long time I lived on the same street. But anyway, when we were vacationing there was one night when I was sleeping on the top bunk. Because I'm the oldest, I get the top bunk. When I was sleeping on the top bunk, I remember waking up being flung out of the friggin' bunk, landing in the middle of the room and just screaming. You know, that woke me up. Like I landed in the middle of the room somehow. I mean, I understand that children can like roll off the top of bunks. This one had bars on the sides anyway, so I couldn't have rolled over. Something, I don't know, I like dropped from the middle of the room on the floor, woke up screaming. After that, I also remember having terrible, terrible ear infections for years after. I've done sort of like some research into like alien abduction and things, and I think something might have happened with that. Could have also been like my pineal gland closing, because like one of the ways when you're like your pineal gland opens, you can receive spiritual downloads or uploads even. I've talked about this before. Through the right or the left here, they mean different things. I'll get into that at a different time. Like I said, we're coming up to 40 minutes on this video, so let's just get through that. But a possible alien abduction. And last, but certainly not least, but certainly last, trauma number 13, ladies and gentlemen, is, I guess you could probably, if you've been paying attention, figure out that it was number 4. And trauma number 4, oh, when I was 4 years old, it was for my birthday. I remember I didn't get any birthday presents except for one thing, which was a Ninja Turtles episodes on VHS that I had already seen, and it was an overnight rental. That was my birthday when I was 4. So not super traumatic, but kind of a nice and light, fun note to end on. And because this video has been going on for so long, I'm not even going to bother. with any sort of outro stuff, other than to say, hope you enjoyed it. Hope this was as cathartic and troubling for you as it was for me. Feel free to share your own experiences. God bless you if you've somehow made it to the end. I mean, really, what's wrong with you? There's got to be, anyway. Enough of that. Have a good one. Truth dog out. Woof woof. I need a drink of water, but woof woof. There you go.